So, dear and respected friend, thank you so much for your kind participation. And we are going to start today's session with an invocation of a song. So let me just share the screen. And we are going to start today's session with an invocation of a song presented by a band called Budh Se Kabir Tak. So let me share the screen. Thank you, dear and respected friend. Thank you so much for your kind attention. And it is indeed a very deep song presented by our group. Or uh, in which we are going to talk called Budh Se Kabir Tak. It is a band. So this song invoked the very idea of cultural harmony, which is the beauty and strength of Indian civilization. I, Randhir Kumar Gautam, on behalf of Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming, welcome you to our Swadhyay Sahchakra dialogue on the very topic, Budh Se Kabir Tak, a movement towards peace and empathy. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Honorable Speaker Dr. Vinod Mal, very eminent public administrator, former DGP Gujarat. I welcome Professor Kumar Giri from Madras Institute of Development Studies, Chennai, and honorary trustee of Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming. Although Dr. Vinod Mal does not need any introduction, Dr. Vinod Mal is a graduate of IIT BHU with a BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering in 1984. His career began in 1986 as an Indian Police Service officer, the Gujarat cadre. During his initial year, he headed various district units and divisions in commissionerate, where he primarily dealt with tackling crime and managing law and order. His contribution is handling the riots in the year 2000. Yes, please mute your phone so that we can avoid disruption. Thank you so much. His work in the riot in 2002, while working as SP Superintendent in Surendra Nagar, an additional Commissioner of Police, Ahmedabad, was immense and bring deep pride to all of us. In 2018, his desire to work towards a social cause inspired him to a launch of Budh Se Bihar Tak Yatra, which his unique way of strengthening diversity, pluralism, and the composite culture of India. Dr. Mal once said, Budh Se Kabir Tak is a socio-cultural movement which uses teachings of icons like Buddha, Kabir, Gandhi, Gorakhnath, and Mahavir to spread the message of peace, non-violence, and togetherness. Let me also give a brief introduction of our Swadhyay Sahchakra. It is a circle of self and mutual studies. It is an initiative of studying and learning together self, culture, societies, and the world. Friends associated with this are eager to walk and mediate with new horizons of thinking and new movements of social and cultural change at work in our contemporary world. We study seekers such as Sri Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi, Chittaranjan Das, a creative soul and creative thinker from Odisha, and many others from around the world. We also present our own writings and reflect upon our creativity together. We also invite seekers from different fields of life to share with us their lives, vision, sadhana, and struggles for creating a world of beauty, dignity, and dialogue. We meet every Sunday or sometimes on Wednesday. We are now nurturing this dialogue in collaboration with different universities of the world. With this brief introduction, first I would like to invite Dr. Vinod Kumar Malji to kindly share his view, thought about his movement and give us a deep understanding of his experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randhir ji, and welcome all of the dignitaries who have joined this evening. And there couldn't be a better start. Randhir ji, you started with the song, and that sort of defined what Budh Se Kabir Tak movement is. But more important, is to understand that setting, the video which you put here and played, and we all watched it, that turned me emotional, to be frank. That that place where this program was being done is Sabarmati Ashram. And that program happened on 9th of November 2019 in the evening at Sabarmati Ashram. And you might have seen on the backdrop, you might have seen the picture of Gandhi on that. And the tree, the tree falling on the backdrop was a tree in the Sabarmati Ashram, right on the bank of Sabarmati River. Only yesterday we had the anniversary of Dandi Yatra, and that was another historic event to remember yesterday. And that Sabarmati Ashram program which we did, that band which played that song, you know, when we talk about that, when we collect together these band boys and girls and all of us, when we talked about that program, you know, believe me, everybody feels very emotional. Every one of us who was present there, everybody says that it was a very, very unique experience. There were vibrations, there were some kind of a metaphysical experience which all of us had. I don't believe in miracles. I'm not a great believer at the same time. But the feeling, the feeling that we connected with Gandhi at Sabarmati Ashram, and talking about social and cultural, religious harmony, talking about love, peace, empathy, that is what, gives us a sense of connect with our history and, of course, Gandhi. And Gandhi has been a very inspiring personality for all of us. When I say that Gandhi has been an inspiring personality for all of us, we have a different kind of thoughts in our mind, and everybody has a some understanding when I said that, and there could be different responses these days. What happens is that you have one position, immediately you have another position which is exactly contrary to that, but that's fine. That's what healthy society is. And Gandhi was one who was fond of dialogue. His whole career, whole work in India in the freedom struggle was a process of communication, process of dialogue with the society. And the ultimate aim, of course, one was the freedom struggle, but the more important was the Hindu-Muslim unity and abolition of untouchability. And once he said that without the latter two, the first, that is the freedom, can never be complete. So that song was, you turned me emotional. Thank you very much for giving up a really, really very, very appropriate start to the conversation this evening. इस देश को हिंदू ना मुसलमान चाहिए, हर मजहब जिसको प्यारा हो इंसान चाहिए. And primarily because of this, we started this moment. I requested, you remember when you talked to me about the talk today, I requested you that I'll be traveling to Hyderabad. And I have something at after 7 p.m. and please. So today morning, I landed up at Hyderabad, and Hyderabad has a lot of memories associated as far as I am concerned. I joined Indian Police Service in 1986, and I remember that in early morning, it was dark when I landed up at Hyderabad railway station and took an auto rickshaw and came to National Police Academy at a place called Shivarampalli. It was still dark when I reached here, and I remember in the morning, I went back behind the building where I stayed, that is IPS mess, we call it. And in those days, Hyderabad did not have too many buildings, and right from the back side of that building, I could see the Golconda Fort. And it was mesmerizing. It was wonderful. It was as if the history is speaking to me, at that point of time. I lived for a year in Hyderabad, and if we try to understand Hyderabad, there are a few structures which come to our mind. One is, of course, the Golconda Fort, which is very famous, very iconic, very historical. And there is the Charminar area. It represents another kind of culture. And the city language itself, it's Telugu, Urdu, Hindi, and a special kind of Hindi, which is very specific to Hyderabad, that is spoken here. And now another very iconic structure has been added, maybe very recently, few weeks back, and that is Statue of Equality. And Honorable Prime Minister inaugurated it. And you must be wondering why this statue is called Statue of Equality. And in India, things are so nuanced, so deep that, every word has its meaning. It is not incidental. It is not incidental that it was named Statue of Unity. It is not incidental, or it is not a political, it may be political, I don't know. But, behind that, there is a whole philosophy why this is called Statue of Equality. And precisely for this reason, India becomes a very, very unique country, that these words, a word like equality to describe statue of Ramanujam, Statue of Equality word is used. You may recall that Ramanujam was one who propagated the theory of Visishtattva in Indian philosophical system. So I am in that city today, and there's so much going in my mind, and that all describes India. India is so intense, so diverse, so rich that any place you go, and there's plenty of things around you. The only thing is that you should be able to see it, because at times we are so limited by our preconceived ideas and notions that we don't see many of the things. For example, word equality, many of us may not be able to see it. But if we do that, we find that India is so rich, and that is why at times even my friends and when during discussions we try to compare ourselves with United States or Pakistan or Bangladesh or England or Australia, I generally say that maybe we compare ourselves to learn, but in many ways we are much superior to them, especially the philosophical, cultural, and historical aspect. We are much superior to them. And if we are talking about the issues related to Indian society and culture, in fact, they have to learn much more from us. Of course, we have to also to learn. We have to interact with them and learn, but we have plenty to take pride on and take inspiration from and take direction today. And that is what an effort we made in form of Budh Se Kabir Tak. Today, when I reached the National Police Academy and I met some of, this is a 35 years reunion of my batch, which was supposed to be held last year, but because of COVID, it could not be held. So now it is being held. So my batchmates, many of them, few of them in service, mostly retired, we are here. And one of my friends, while talking on the dining table, he said that I am the only one who can speak all the four South Indian languages, that is Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, and Telugu. And this, I didn't respond to that time, but this is something very unique to India. And that is what I'm referring to when I talk about uniqueness of India. What is there that a person, he takes pride in knowing these many languages. Of course, he knows English and Hindi in addition to that. So he knows six languages, maybe more. This is what beauty of India is, that we know we are faced with diversity, with lived diversity. We enjoy the beauty of diversity, and we take pride in the diversity. And this diversity is the basic essence of Indian society, and that is what makes us great. And this is, this also relates to the composite culture of India, that a person from Uttar Pradesh like me, coming from Gorakhpur with Bhojpuri as mother tongue, very comfortable with someone, talking, somebody whose mother tongue is Telugu or Tamil, and things like that. So in that context, today's talk will start. But before going ahead, I like to play one song, which is again, this is the theme song of Budh Se Kabir Tak. Randhir ji played that song, but I like to play that song. And this song is indigenous, completely in-house, rather than indigenous. It is in-house work of Budh Se Kabir Tak group. This is volunteers, done everything, written the song, composed music, everything. So I will try to play that song, and after that we'll proceed with our talk.
जहां तक इस जमीन से आसमां तक, इस जहां से उस जहां तक, इस जमीन से आसमां तक जाना है हमें से कबीर से कबीर से। मैं मुसलमान और हिंदू, ईसाई भी, शिव भी हूँ, और वही तुम सब हो। जब तुम झंडे लेकर चिल्लाते हो तो डर के मारे दूसरे सब भाई खड़ा जाते हैं। ऐसा हिंदुस्तान नहीं चाहिए मुझे। बंद करो, भगवान के लिए बंद करोगे। हो अनोखी सुबह जिसमें शांति का फैले प्रकाश, प्रेम करुणा और सुख का हर हृदय में हो निवास। हो अनोखी सुबह जिसमें शांति का फैले प्रकाश, प्रेम करुणा और सुख का हर हृदय में हो निवास। हो जमी ऐसी हमारी दूर दूर तक, बुद्ध से कबीर तक, से कबीर तक, बुद्ध से कबीर तक, से कबीर तक।
कबीर एक बहुत ही क्रांतिकारी समाज सुधारक थे। वो एक ईश्वर की बात करते थे और उनके ईश्वर की प्राप्ति के लिए धर्म निरर्थक था। कबीर कहते थे कि ईश्वर को प्राप्त करने के लिए न तो हिंदू धर्म की जरूरत है, न तो इस्लाम की जरूरत है, सिर्फ ईश्वर को पाने की ख्वाहिश होनी चाहिए। एक तीव्र इच्छा, प्रेम की एक तीव्र इच्छा अपने ईश्वर को होनी चाहिए। और वही प्रेरणा गांधी में आती है जब गांधी कहते हैं, ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान।
ना मैं हिंदू और मुसलमान तुम नहीं समझो जरा, ना ईसाई ना कोई सिख, धर्म जात में क्या धरा। ना मैं हिंदू और मुसलमान तुम नहीं समझो जरा, ना ईसाई ना कोई सिख, धर्म जात में क्या धरा। इंसानियत हो एक मजहब और अनल हक, बुद्ध से कबीर तक, से कबीर तक, बुद्ध से कबीर तक, से कबीर तक। आओ निकले साथ अपने सफर में हम चलो, बन दीप समता एकता का संग जलो। आओ संग चलो, आओ संग चलो, बुद्ध से कबीर तक, से कबीर तक, बुद्ध से कबीर तक।
So thank you very much for patiently listening to this song, and you might have related the first song, with some of the visuals in this, this song.
Coke Studio Season 9.
Sorry, let me, I think this YouTube.
Yes, sir. I think now it's clear.
Yes, YouTube went on. So yeah, so this whatever you saw is those boys were singing. They're all volunteers from Budh Se Kabir Tak, and they work, voluntarily, and they are all students, and they come from different walks of life. I mean, those were the young, mostly students. One of them lawyer, and one is a poet, and likewise. Budh Se Kabir Tak has people from across the sections. You might have seen the visuals. You might have seen women leading from the front, and people from different communities, social groups. That is what its main character is. So Budh Se Kabir Tak, we heard Gandhi. Those songs mentioned Nanak, Kabir. These people, and this was the inspiration behind the movement called Budh Se Kabir Tak. How it came to my mind, you must be wondering why this name and how this came, this particular name came to my mind. What is it and what is its purpose? These are basic questions that must be coming to one's mind, and that will explain why this was, how this was formed. I basically come from Gorakhpur. My original district is Mau in Uttar Pradesh, somewhere between Gorakhpur and Varanasi. I had my childhood in the rural area of Gorakhpur, and there I studied in rural areas, and I still remember that only few things existed in that society, in that area. One was agriculture. Second was education, and third was a little bit of business, whatever needed for the very basic lifestyle, some shops, etc. Some professionals, tailor, this, that. That was all in that area, and it was there was Sarju River going close by, Kuhano River going close by, Raftini River going close by. I remember all of that. Why I'm saying is that all of this creates picture in my mind which was very inclusive. I remember that in school we never bothered who came from which community. We all sat together, studied. I'm talking of the rural area, and I'm also not saying that everywhere in India that is the same situation, or even in that area today the situation is the same. Situation has changed, and probably that is why a movement like Budh Se Kabir Tak. So we were all together. We didn't. There was no difference between anyone. All of us, Muslim, different communities, we played together. And the only thing was important was in that area was, your studies, your work, etc. Nothing more than that. It was peace. Those people who come from that area, except for the occasional quarrels here and there, and occasional communal riots in cities like Meerut, Banaras, there was generally a peace. Crime, of course, there was a little bit of crime, all right, occasional crime, but generally the peace was there, and universities were calm. Universities, distinctly, I remember that in those days, the universities were very calm. I was in Banaras University for a short time in Allahabad University. I think primarily the focus was on studies. Students, they focused on studies. Some people were political leaders, but their numbers were very less. And they normally, in the normal course, they did not interact much with the students. And that was all. But these days, if you go to the campus, for example, I saw a video yesterday only, and there was a video from JNU. And there was probably more than 1,000 students collected, and there was a screen, video screen, and there was a song being played, and people were dancing and things like that. And that video was "Jo Ram ko laaye hain, hum unko layenge." I do not have any problem with whom you elect or select for your leader. That's no problem. But what partially made me upset was, has the religion dominated politics so much that university has to assert so aggressively that will bring those people who are brought up. Ram, I don't have, I come from that area, and probably I will talk about that, why the Indian spirituality and Indian religion is not what many people say today in the name of the religion. Indian religion and Indian traditions are very, very broad-based, very inclusive. And whenever we try to uh, have a segmented view of Indian traditions, we make a mistake. Indian, I remember a quote. I remember a quote from Shashi Tharoor. I don't remember the exact word, but what he said that he said that the only single truth about the only singular truth about India is that it is plural. So there are things like that. Whenever you try to say something, there is immediately something comes which is different from that, and not necessarily the opposite, but it's different from that. For example, I talked about the Statue of Equality. If you go into the philosophical background of that, that was sort of improvement, if not antithesis, to what Shankaracharya said. Shankaracharya gave a theory of Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is singularity of God, monism of God. God is one. It is undefined, indeterminate, beginningless, endless, and things like that. And he said that that's the only truth. There's no other truth. Ramanuj comes and he says that, all right, Brahm is the supreme, and that's the reality. That's the reality, the only reality. But this world is also, the world is also true. It is not Maya, what Shankaracharya said. And he said that this is also as real as the Brahm itself. So, and that is why his Vedanta is called Vishishtaadvaita. His Advaita is called the Vishishtaadvaita. So what I'm trying to say that as soon as you come out with a theory, there is a theory which is, either improves on that, which is contrary, and it evolves over the period of time. So I did my, in the childhood in the Gorakhpur area, then I went to Madras University and I did my engineering. And Madras was again a very, very rich addition to my life, because it was a representative of really the Indian culture, where you had everything. You had Jainism, Buddhism, seat of Hinduism, as we all know. We had Kabir from that place, Ravidas from that place, all different streams which one can think of in Indian tradition. Sikhism, of course, very strongly present there. Also, the people from different states there, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, the West Bengalis in big number, Sikhs in substantial number, things like that. So living in that place, and of course the Ganga which represents the Indian flow of the Indian cultures over the centuries. So being associated with all of that, one could sense that he was a true sort of representative or truly associated with the Indian tradition, which is plural and diverse. And after that, after doing my BTech, I joined a profession called police, and I joined a state called Gujarat. And my first posting was Baroda in 1989. And as soon as I landed there, there were plenty of riots, communal riots there. Some people will recall that at that time, Babri Masjid movement, this Ajitya Ram Mandir movement was sort of has just taken off, but very, very vocal, very displaced, very assertive movement it was. And Baroda had almost every day some small riot here and there. And I saw some serious riots in November 1989. I remember 21st of November, I had very serious riots. There were stabbings, arsons, killings, everything in that city. And later on, in later years, 1990, I remember there were riots again in the same connection. Dwaniji took out the Rath Yatra, to build up to that, and even after that, there were riots. When he was arrested in Bihar, there were riots, and things like that. So there was a process of, I would say that India has so many beautiful things, but it had certain fault line also, and communism is one of the fault lines. And post 1980, And more so after 1985, as far as Hindu-Muslim communism is concerned, the situation started deteriorating. Whose fault? I'm not going to talk about, you all know, but it is a fact that post 1985, we have seen the growth of communal mobilization in the country. I remember that when I was in college at Banaras or in school, we never talked about religion, hardly, it didn't matter what religion you belong to, except some difference in the the lifestyle, but that was fine. We were comfortable with each other and things like that. But it went on, and post 1992, after Ajodhya incident, mind it, I am not giving any value judgment. You make your own judgment, because I know you all are very mature and understand the social dynamics very well. But what I am saying is, after that, there was a paradigm shift in Indian communal map, and even the character of the communal rights got changed. Earlier, it was once in a while affair. It happened at Aligarh, at Bhagalpur, etc. After that, it became a day-to-day process. It became a social dynamics. It was not just the Hindu-Muslim thing. It was sort of embedded into the economics. It was embedded into the social processes. It was embedded into the education. And likewise, all aspects of social life, communism became a very important part. And ghettoization started happening in big cities. And spatial ghettoization, one thing, even the mental ghettoization has started, started happening. And today, when we are in 2022, and we thought that we'll get rid of casteism in communism in India, I am afraid it has worsened over the last 30, 40 years. And today, the polarization, the communal and the social polarization is extreme. Those who use social media, we all know anything, and there are two extreme positions. And these extreme positions are, they are dangerous, because extreme positions, they are reluctant to have a dialogue. And that is how Buddha becomes very relevant. Buddha talked about something called middle path. And it meant that truth existed somewhere in between the extremes. And for that, a process of dialogue has to be initiated. So, and that is why we had a system of republics even in old India. I'm still, when I'm talking good things about Indian society, I'm not saying that we didn't have problems earlier. We did have problems earlier. We had conflicts, we had violence, we had killings, but every time we had all of those problems, we came out better, we evolved better, and we evolved better gradually to include the spirit or the essence of Sarvadharma Sambhav in our constitution. The secularism in our constitution is not a Western concept. Never compare our secularism in our constitution with the Western. A lot of people talk, when you talk about secularism, secularism has become abused these days. Sometimes you say I'm a secularist. Some people take it as, they criticize you, they condemn, they ridicule you, that secularists have, as if they are the most wretched people. But Indian secularism is different from Western secularism, and it can be better described with the term called Sarvadharma Sambhav. And it was the Indian constitution, I would say that it is a result of evolution of thousands of years, where in multiple faiths, multiple beliefs, multiple lifestyles, multiple languages, all they grew together, they influenced each other, they got influenced by each other, and we have a very nuanced, beautiful, composite culture. And that is what I gave example when my friend was taking pride in speaking 4 languages. This you realize when you go to other countries, say state like country like Canada, Australia, where it is relatively more, they are more monolithic, and you will miss, the first thing you miss when you go abroad is the Indian diversity, whether it is lifestyle, language, or anything. And that is what this Budh Se Kabir Tak movement aims for. I have this small booklet, and Budh Se Kabir Tak, which is a very introductory thing. From this, I will read in one line. I read what is the objective of this Budh Se Kabir Tak movement. इसका उद्देश्य, I read in Hindi and explain in English, अपनी ऐतिहासिक विरासत को सहेजना और बुद्ध, महावीर, गोरखनाथ, कबीर और गांधी के जीवन दर्शन के माध्यम से अपने विविधतापूर्ण और बहुसंस्कृतिवादी राष्ट्र की संरचना को मजबूत करना है, जिससे हमारी साझी संस्कृति एवं संवैधानिक राष्ट्रवाद को मजबूती प्रदान हो. It basically says that we have to draw inspiration from people like Budh, Kabir, and likewise many more. Say in South, Narayan Guru, in Warsaw, many of them, Tukaram in Maharashtra, Namdev in Maharashtra, Narasimha Mehta in Gujarat, likewise Mirabai in Rajasthan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Eastern India. So all of them, if you go deep into that, and then you realize that they basically talked about the equality of the people. All of them. And they basically their philosophy, most of them, the philosophy originated from the Advait concept, the Ekeshwarvad, one single God. And that is why all these people believed in unity of the God. And that is why they talked about the equality of people. When there is one God, how can people be different? How can be different castes and different religions? And Gandhi was the best to imbibe all these values. Why could Gandhi have, in his prayers, he could have Bible and Quran along with Gita, so that people could choose whatever they wanted. And he could sing the bhajan Ragpati Raghav Raja Ram Patit Paman Sita Ram Ishwar Allah Tero Naam Sabko Sanmat De Bhagwan. Ishwar Allah Tero Naam. It is one God. Ishwar and Allah, they're different names. And that is what Vivekananda said. Vivekananda also came from the tradition of Advait, singular God. And he also said that it is only different names which the different people give, but it is the same God. But unfortunately, people like Vivekananda, they are misused by people, vested interest, who, through him assert a different kind of, philosophy or religion, which in fact they don't understand. Vivekananda, he talked about the superiority of Jeev Seva. He said the service of the mankind is the highest form of the worship. So we started with this. I'll take another 5 minutes to finish and maybe some questions because I have to wind up. So this Budh Se Kabir Tak movement, this was the basic ideas. Budh Se Kabir Tak movement was started in 2018. That thought kept coming to my mind for quite a few years, but in 2018 it became concrete, and some form came to my mind. And we started with the yatra from Kushinagar. Kushinagar is the place where Buddha got his Mahaparinirbhan. He died there. And from Kushinagar, starting to Maghar, a place which is about 40 kilometers west of Gorakhpur, where Kabir died, or his Parinirvana Sthali, where Kabir died. And both of them, they basically represent the rationalist tradition of Indian society. We also, Budh Se Kabir Tak also, it is against the irrational practices in the society. It is against the rituals. It talks about the scientific temper, which has been included in our constitution. So basically, Budh Se Kabir Tak, it is not a religious movement. It is the movement for the values enshrined in our constitution. That is justice, liberty, equality, secularism, dignity of the human being, and things like that. So we talk about a nationalism which is called constitutional nationalism. And nationalism can only base on constitution where everybody has dignity and equality. It cannot base on any religion. We cannot have a Hindu religion or Hindu nationalism or a Muslim nationalism. We had a very unfortunate partition in 1947 because on the two sides of the religious divide were two different fundamentalist groups, and they got divided despite all effort by Gandhi and many others to keep the country united at any cost. But that misfortunate thing has happened. Today we have to be careful that the division doesn't happen. And when I'm talking about the division, it is not just the spatial division or the geographical division. It is division of the minds, it's division of society. Today, the hatred has spread. As I said, in my childhood, we never saw the division of minds. Now, anywhere you go, you can have your own regions, you can justify, not justify, that's a different thing. But the fact of the matter is that there is a strong division which exists. And that division has made all of us very, very aggressive, mentally violent, and that is not good for the country. A country cannot prosper, develop, unless it has a peace, inclusiveness. If you talk about the sustainable development, a concept which came in 2005 at the behest of United Nations, sustainable development cannot take place unless there is inclusive participation of the society, inclusive development of the society. And when we talk about participation development, it covers all the aspects, education, agriculture, business, and things like that. Those who think that by creating the other or condemning the other, you can have the victory, you will never have. Whether it is Dalits or Muslim or women or the people of Nagaland or the people of Kashmir, everybody you have to take along, and then only you can have India which we are truly are. And then only we'll realize the the inspiration from people like Budh Se Kabir Tak. Budh Se Kabir Tak is movement. We have a Facebook page, Facebook group, Facebook page. We have a website called budhsekabirtak.org. If you are interested, you can have a look at that. And this is a movement. This is not an NGO like working. Anybody from anywhere can join. Anybody who, for example, Randhir who played this video today, I think perhaps he can be the best representative for Budh Se Kabir Tak, who imbibes the essence of this movement. And a lot of people have connected with this, especially the youngsters. There are older people also who guide us. There are writers, philosophers, journalists who are with this movement. But our focus is to connect with the youngsters, because the youngsters who are devoid of the knowledge of history, who are divided of our ancient tradition. Ancient tradition, unfortunately, we talk about, generally, you must be referring to something called Sanatan Dharma. What is Sanatan Dharma? If you take the literal meaning, Sanatan means perpetual, perpetually evolving. Sanatan is not static. And most of the times people refer to Sanatan as something static which existed 4,000 years ago. How can something, 4,000 years ago and static can be relevant today? I mean, you have to take from the past. What Nehru said, that India is a country which has to take inspiration from the past and has to look forward. So science and technology in the future, and Buddha, Kabir, Mahavir, many like Nagarjuna, Chakracharya from the past. So India has to be a unique combination of past, present, and future. And that is what those people, Gandhi and Nehru, tried to do it. And unfortunate part is Gandhi is one who is ridiculed. And there are people who try to, everybody has a right to his own opinion, but many people try to ridicule Gandhi without knowing him. You condemn Gandhi. I have many points on which I will criticize Gandhi. I don't agree with Gandhi. But criticize Gandhi after you know him, after you really understand what he did in life. There will be plenty you can find faults, and that is true for every human being. So Budh Se Kabir Tak is this, and I'll finish my talk here. And if there are any queries, any observations, I'll be happy to respond to that for maybe under 5-7 minutes, and then we'll finish.
Thank you so much, sir. And you really invoke the very essence of the Budh Se Kabir movement, that is how to inculcate the spirit of common civilization by invoking the idea of coexistence, idea of diversity, idea of peace and prosperity. So now I would like to invite Professor Anant Giri, sir, to discuss some of his concerns, sir. Are you there, sir?
Yes.
Yes, please. Sir, we have limitation of time, so I would request you to please, wind up in 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure. Thank you.
To turn on your video.
Can you turn on my video, please? Somehow it is muted.
Now we can see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinodji, and thank you, Randhir and friends. Budh Se Kabir Tak is also an invitation for us with Buddha and Kabir. So Budh Se Kabir is Buddha Kabir, And it is also walking and singing together with Buddha and Kabir. And the challenges that are with us, for example, the challenges of peace, coexistence, and the concluding thought that Dr. Vinod was presenting, that it is very easy these days to ridicule Gandhi. So how do we free ourselves from this temptation to ridicule the other? And here, the song of Kabir, Man lago yara fakiri mein, Man lago yara fakiri mein. Fakir. I think one common thread of Buddha and Kabir is the path of fakir, being a fakir. And Buddha was with the road. Buddha got his enlightenment not only under the tree, but with the tree. And Buddha didn't have any position. So both Gandhi, Buddha, and Kabir, they invite us to live a life of non-possession. And this non-possession is non-possessiveness. And this non-possession and non-possessiveness is a journey. It is not that we may be totally non-possessive at this moment, but to cultivate this dimension of non-possession and non-possessiveness, a sense of fakir, being with the fakir, musafir, as I am joining us today with this car coming from Firefly's dialogue. I wish to share that for the last 4 days, myself and many friends, around 50 of them, including my friend Abhay Raj, who is a legal scholar and activist. He teaches at Ajim Premji University. We are together. As Fireflies intercultural scene are living presences. Early this morning, waking up around 4:30 in the morning, embraced by the mothering space of darkness, I was walking with fireflies. And in this center, there are many beautiful sculptures. And there is a prayer hall, a meditation hall, where there is the presence of Buddha as well as Kabir. So, Buddha Se Kabir Tak is an invitation for us to be with Buddha and Kabir together, and to dance with Buddha and Kabir together. Now, when we think of Buddha, realize Buddha, we realize him as our friend Dr. Vinod was sharing a very deep challenge to us. Sanatan is not static. Sanatan is dynamic. Similarly, Buddha and Kabir, they are not static. Buddha, in his time, he meditated quite a lot. At the same time, he walked. But we have not seen Buddha dancing. Have you seen Buddha dancing? Now, why also we cannot envision a dancing Buddha? Or how do we realize the Buddhahood among us in the dance of life? I also, it is a rare experience for me when I was visiting Shangri-La in 2009. Shangri-La has a beautiful monastery, much like the Patola Palace in Tibet. And there I found Buddha with a sword. It's a very rare image. Buddha with a sword means that Buddha with a sword also challenges us to cut through our many knots of ignorance and arrogance. So my submission is that with this creative cultural group, Buddha Se Kabir Tak, let us also open ourselves to realizing Buddha with us in manifold creative ways. The dancing Buddha, the meditating Buddha, the walking Buddha, and also bring the cross-cultural realization. As we know, and in China has got a feminine embodiment called Kuai, the Avalokiteswara Buddha. So therefore, Buddha, in that sense, it goes beyond the masculine and the feminine. And today, we need to realize who also has sword in his hand, compassion and confrontation. Kabir, as we know, Kabir was also had sword in his hand. Kabir was very direct. He asked us direct question. Man lago yar fakiri mein. It means when we are entrapped in many illusions of and of course we would become Amir in our heart, but Fakir in our external belonging. But today what is happening, we are becoming Amir in our possessions and very, very poor in the quality of our heart. So thank you, Dr. Vinod, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I know, sir, you have a limitation of time, but thank you so much for giving you very precious time, and it was indeed a very inspiring session. And Professor Anand Giri also touched some more incorporated thought like descent. Idea of descent was central both in the very conception of Lord Buddha and Kabira. And I think Lord Buddha was he gave the first challenge of the hegemony of caste system, and nobody can ever become a creative descent as Kabir was. So being a, and the beauty of your movement, I just, was reading an article, there is no conventional, membership. So it is a very, creative effort. I think, sometime we should also study your engagement, and without having any creative or without having organizational setup, how you sensitize youth for that matter. And I really enjoyed last night only the kind of band you have, very creative and very talented young minds. And I think we should also engage our youth to spread the awareness of diversity. That is the very strength of our democracy and our constitution. So your efforts is very, very remarkable. And I would request those who are listening us also on Facebook and Zoom, we are ready to provide you a kind of support, and let's join your youth to this very movement called Budh Se Kabir Tak. So with this brief introduction, with brief observation, I would like to conclude myself. Dear and respected friend, I know we don't have time of questions answer session, but I can see some question also on Facebook, and some related question that I will ask. The last question, one a student is asking about like how they can be, what are the programs that you, um, that you have in order to, inculcate the diversity of a spirit among a student. So if you can tell me in 5 to 7 minutes, what are the program, how you engage youth in your movement?
So thank you very much. And we have a series of programs. For example, we have this yatra. We go to schools and colleges, universities, and talk to the students, talk about the philosophy, the diversity of Indian system, talk about the diversity in the language, music. We take the examples, for example, music. we talk about how the Indian music has evolved from Dhupad style to Khayal style and to Thumri and all of that. There's all evolution where you see different influences. Even now, you see 1925 to 2022, the evolution of film music, for example. See so many influences. So it's a process of evolution. So we give these quotes, give these examples to explain what diversity is and how we are, we have become very mature in living with these diversities. Many other countries have not, but we have sort of, you can listen to songs. For example, Bhupin Hazarika songs, and they are sung in Assamese, the same song in Bengali, Hindi, English, all languages. And people there, I have seen mixing of the Carnatic and the Hindustani classical system, same song, same composition, both. So this experimentation, India is the place of experimentation, trying new things and accepting new things. This is very creative, and I can tell you that if you are a painter, you are a poet, you are a writer, you are a journalist, you are a scientist, you are anything. If you have any talented, come to Budh Se Kabir Tak, and it is my guarantee that I'll find some activity for you. That is for sure. We take the talent and find activity. It's very creative. It's very creative, and it's a continuous sort of looking up for new ideas, new things, and anyone who comes with these things, any ideas, any talent, will find place for it. We have a band. We have dancers with us. We organize their performances, and obviously whenever we have the programs, it is not just entertainment, it is message along with that. So anything, we encourage writing essays, articles, poems, composing music, making films. We have a group which makes films. In fact, if you go to YouTube, you'll find 2 films we have made on social harmony. So anything you think of, and you'll find a space in Budh Se Kabir Tak. So with that, I'll sort of try to.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
I am
Thank
sorry,
you so much.
I am in a hurry because
No, I know, sir.
I am
know.
really sorry. I would have loved to interact more and answer.
Yes, we
more
will
questions.
invite you some other time also.
I'll be really grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your excellent deliberation.
Thanks.
Very thoughtful, provoking session.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, dear respected friend. We will send you certificate if you fill the form. And thank you so much for your kind support. Thank you, Professor Giri. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.